Thank you. This one in relation. Thanks for the opportunity to come and speak today in relation to the Irish access to PTWs. Is this one working, is it?
Yeah, it's working.
It's working, okay. I'm standing in for a colleague. My background is really in driver testing, but I have a big interest in this at the moment because we lost a family member a couple of years back through a motorcycle accident, and what we spoke about earlier in relation to a powerful motorcycle. My brother-in-law was on a Yamaha R1, a very powerful motorcycle, but the accident occurred at 60 kilometres an hour. So I'm very interested in this field myself. Anyway, that's just a bit of a background myself. Like I say, I'm really involved in the driver testing end. I just want to talk about another statistic that we have, if you like, from the front end of driver testing. The improvement in relation to the success rate at the driving test since the implementation of mandatory and compulsory training in Ireland can be seen at the test itself, where it has the success rate has improved due to mandatory and compulsory training. Okay. Now, what I'm going to cover today, basically in relation to this presentation, is the measures that were introduced by the RSA through the graduated driver licensing process, the direct access to PTWs through training and assessment, which is the driving test itself, and then the progressive access to PTWs through training in the progression module itself. My voice might sound a bit nervous up here. I'm not used to speaking in front of such a huge crowd, but anyway, we'll go on. So in 2010, the RSA implemented measures under the GDL programme for motorcyclists and car drivers, and the measures for motorcyclists were that from the 6th of December 2010, all new first-time learner permit holders for motorcycles are required to take mandatory initial basic training with an RSA-approved driving instructor, and the training would be in modular format and take 16 hours in total. There are booklets outside there. It's an RSA booklet on initial basic training, and it runs through all the different aspects of it, like in relation to direct access and progressive access. Part of my presentation will be making reference to that, so if you happen to bring a copy in with you, you can follow. If not, there's plenty of them outside there on the table. So, as a result of the measure, basically all driving instructors, my notes here, sorry. All driving instructors were registered, had to be registered to give tuition in 2009. They have to do 3 stages in order to become a driving instructor. They have to do a theory test, a driving test, and then an ability to instruct examination. And if they succeeded in that, they got a qualification, which is an Irish HETEC level 5. So by 2010, all these measures then were covered by the ADIs. What we found in the RSA was that when it came to test purposes, what gets assessed gets taught. So it opened up the driving test itself to driving instructors. What we did was we also gave all the driving instructors, in order to take the mystery out of the driving test itself, we opened up the marking guidelines and the standard operating procedures to all the ADIs, so they knew exactly what was required on the driving test itself. What we found was that there was a programme also for continuous professional development. So we have an ADI, an approved driving instructor unit within the Road Safety Authority, and driving instructors are continually assessed to ensure that they are delivering the training at a competent level. Some of the background in relation to Ireland, unfortunately, part of one of the OECD statistics back in 2009 found that motorcyclist fatalities were highest in Ireland of the 20 countries involved. Despite the fact we only had 2% of the vehicle fleet, motorcyclists were responsible, or 12% of the fatalities were motorcyclists. And the factors that were recognised were in accidents were speed, position, and dangerous overtaking. So that's going to move on now. This is just a basic overview. The blue lines, the blue columns are the direct access columns from the different categories. As you can see, category AM is a standalone. You cannot use the progression module from category AM due to the limited restrictions, the power limited restrictions of the category AM. When it goes to A1, you can get direct access, or when you pass your test, you can use the progressive access to get to category A2, or you can do the test itself, but you can only use the progression module once. You will have to set 2 driving tests if you intend to go through each of the categories of motorcycle itself. What we find in Ireland is there are very, very few motorcyclists come in for a category AM test, because it's near on impossible to find a moped that does not exceed 45 kilometers an hour, which is the restriction on a category AM license. I'm just going to go through basically the mandatory, the training modules. Modules 1 to 4 have to be carried out, have to be taken by anybody for any particular category that they intend to do. So it's mandatory training, even for direct access. So module 1 focuses on theory and the practical skills and takes place in the classroom and in the off-road training area. It takes at least 3 hours to complete, and it has 6 objectives, such as personal protection equipment, technical checks, and starting and stopping the engine. So it's really starting from scratch. Module 2, again, it's training and it's mandatory for direct access also. It focuses on practical skills and will take place solely in the off-road training area. The first time that the training program that you ride the motorcycle. And the module takes 5 hours and 10 objectives around that, such as moving off, use of the brakes, the gears, mirrors, U-turn, slalom and turning. Like I say, all these modules and all the headings, they're all covered in this booklet, so you can get it on your way out. Module 3 then focuses on theory and practical skills. It takes place in the classroom, and the on-off training area takes 2 hours to complete, and that goes more now into the documentation, rules of the road, and then it also covers the likes of road position, speed and fatigue. And module 4 again takes place on the roads. It's the first time actually that your instructor through radio will actually bring you out on the open road. The module takes about 6 hours, at least 6 hours, and it has 8 objectives, such as gradients, junctions, compliance with traffic lights, and then reaction and anticipation also. The progression module is module 5. So basically the progression module is a repeat of module 2 and 4, as well as some additional topics, such as the ones down below there: obstacles, overtaking, passengers, and socially responsible riding. If you're upgrading from your vehicle, i.e. to a more powerful, or from an automatic to a manual, you can complete this module to get the necessary training without having to go through the whole IBT program again. You need to give details of that to your instructor before obviously completing the progression module. Okay. So this is an overview of the direct access. For what we find is that category A1, 16 years is the entry level. So you can see most people who are even going to ride a moped, they tend to go for the category A1 because it's the same age entry level. So you have to do your theory test, you have to apply for the learner permit, do your initial basic training modules of 1 to 4, and then you have to wait 6 months. You have to hold your learner permit for 6 months before you can sit the test itself. And on successful completion, if you can pass the test, you obtain then your full license in either the AM or the A1 category. Again then for A2, the access age is 18 for A2, and again the theory test, the learner permit, modules 1, 3 and 5 if you haven't already done, or if you've done the other training for A and AM and A1. The driving test again after 6 months. And same for category, sorry, I'll go back to that. Sorry, the direct access for category A again is age 24. Theory test if not already completed. Apply for the learner permit in category A, and your initial basic training modules 1, 3 and 5 inclusive on the category A power machine. And again, you can do your test after 6 months of holding that learner permit. Now, the progressive access from category A1 to A through training, where the A1 license was acquired through the driving test itself, you can then, at the minimum age of 18, because you've completed 2 years on the A1 license that you can get at 16, you apply for the A2 learner permit, you complete the progression module 5 on your category A2 machine, which is 11 hours, and that gives you then your category A2 license. So that's through training. We already recognise that you've done the test on the category A1, so with training we feel that you can progress up to the A2. You want to go from A2 to A, again, where the A2 is acquired by direct access through the driving test. Again, the minimum age at this stage now, you can go for the A at 20 because you've completed 2 years on the A2 license, which could be got at 18 years of age. You apply for the learner permit in category A and complete module 5 again, which is 11 hours, and that will give you the access to the full A license. So the progression module, as I said, it's not applicable to category AM because of the restrictions on the actual power of the motorcycle itself. But where a motorcyclist wishes to progress from A1 to A and to A, they may only avail of the progressive access module once. You will have to do 2 tests at some stage. And they will only have access route by, on the other 2 occasions, like I say, through the driving test. And that's basically that, and other information, like I say, is on the RSA website. So that's just an overview of progressive access in Ireland. Okay.